Welcome to Unlock Your Dreams. This is a set of podcasts by Educafe Student Solutions. In our second episode today, we have the team of Educafe that are renowned psychologists who have designed our tests at Educafe and have a plethora of knowledge when it comes to studying, study skills. And today, the specific topic that we are going to be talking about is time management. Time management is very important, and for the most part, I think we just don't know how to manage our time. So the team of Educafe is going to tell us that today. Welcome, team.
Thank you.
So, starting off, as I just said, time management is something that we all struggle with. But what exactly is time management?
Time management, when you say it is a process where you plan and organize and divide the given time to various tasks so that you complete your goal by the end of the day. So that is, in simple, that is what is time management.
Okay. Uh, so, if I had to do a deep dive of it, it's like, let's say, if I divide my day into 8 hour sections, where of course 8 hours is fit is going to go into sleep, so I have 16 more hours of my day to do. Is then I then section it into various different like subcategories of what I'm going to use my time for.
Yes.
Okay. And how would I effectively or most effectively manage this time? Because in this day and age, we all end up either making excuses. I think procrastination becomes one of the biggest issues when it comes to following a set schedule that you would like to do. So, what is the most effective way of managing your time?
One way is firstly to understand where you're spending your time. Most often, what we do is we keep saying that, oh, I do not have enough time for what I love doing because I'll have to do my routine tasks. In any case, you cannot avoid your routine tasks, be it your sleep, your food, taking care of yourself, whatever it is. So, all you have to do is first understand where you're spending your time and see if you're unnecessarily spending your time anywhere else. Probably it could be a food. For example, you can finish your dinner, say, within 30 minutes, but then probably I'm sitting in front of TV and I'm having my dinner for an hour. So, unnecessarily, probably I'm wasting my time for 30 more minutes. So, the first thing is to understand where you're spending your time of 24 hours, and from there you take it forward.
True, but as a say counter argument to that, I think we all like to justify how we are spending our time. So, like as you just said, so if I'm eating dinner and I'm watching TV, that what should have been say eating dinner and then taking a TV break or a social media break, I have now clubbed it together, but that is still my dinner time. So now on top of that, I want to take a TV break and watch TV or whatever it may be. So if let's say I am aware enough to recognize that yes, I should not have spent my dinner time also watching TV or clubbed dinner and TV time together where it's now a 2 hour long time spent because I'm like dinner plus my relaxation time. Are there any techniques or ways for me to pay attention to this, or is this something where I would like, do I need someone else to highlight to me, hey, you're doing this, maybe stop? Or is it something that I can on my own start recognizing to do? Because at the end of the day, I'd prefer watching TV more than doing whatever else that I have set to do. It could be a very basic task that could be finished in even 10, 20 minutes, but I'm like, no, I'm going to watch TV first and then do whatever else I want to do. So, what exactly is the, I would say, balance between figuring out that you need to spend your time doing something else first or prioritizing versus doing what you want to do first?
Okay, when it comes to prioritizing, I guess most often what we do is um, we just very quickly, very easily given for our desires. Okay, I want to watch TV 1 hour, plus I want to be on social media, plus I want to make a call to a friend. So it's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, you need to analyze the consequences of where it is leading you to what it is leading you. So if I'm spending say 2 3 hours on social media, phone, and everything else, I also say that I love to read books. I might not have enough time. So you need to weigh the pros and cons of where you're spending time, and is there any way that you can cut this time and give it to something else. And I guess, like I've said before, it mainly starts with self-awareness. And for a week at least, if you can time yourself for each of the activities that you're taking. So yes, probably I'm taking too long for this or too short for this. If you can recognize that, and if you see a pattern, so probably when I'm not in front of TV, I'm eating my dinner quickly. But if I'm clubbing all this, it's taking long. So once you recognize the pattern, once you're aware about yourself of your pattern, it becomes easy for you to manage your time well.
Also, probably all of us have a major role to play in our lives. So, as students, maybe my role is a student and my duty is to study. So, if your study task table is clear, that should be your priority. Study task is clear, and if you are able to finish all that you have planned, I don't think this should be a problem. Spending more time on TV or more time on other activities or gadgets should be okay as long as you're able to complete all your tasks, your roles, your duties successfully. As a professional, maybe I have a list of things, office work, maybe I have to take care of the house as well, or something else, my appointments, etc. If I'm able to do that, it's okay. I can reward myself with other recreational activities. For this, making a study task or the task list becomes more important. In this study, for for example, study task is what is needed. So the study tasks should include not just the subjects that you are going to touch upon, also include the chapters that you are going to deal with in each day, also what you are going to do in that chapter. Maybe you have an assignment that you have to complete, maybe a project work, you have not completed the notes, maybe you want to finish that, or maybe you want to study or revise something else related to that topic. Maybe you want to watch a video related to the topic to get more information. So your task table should be specific as to what you are going to do with that subject and with that particular chapter. So if you are clear and if you can stick on to this study task table, the other things can go here and there.
Very true. So I think that of course makes sense. Uh, I think what ends up happening here is that it's the reverse, right? So I will set my study task list, but I will do everything I want to do in terms of my enjoyment task list, and then try and come to my study task list, which I may not have enough time for. I think it also becomes that I have the false sense of security that I have enough time. I think a lot of students, at least me as a student, I used to consider that I worked well under pressure, but I added the pressure onto myself because I'd leave everything to the last minute and then either spend half the night studying where you are then sacrificing on sleep to study so that you can cover whatever else you need to because you now don't have a choice. Uh, I think what ends up happening is that once you have a choice, it's whether you have the, what do you say, discipline, because desire, as we just said, the first desire is going to be things I enjoy versus
True.
things I
Very
need to
true.
do.
Very true.
So then when it comes to discipline, I think it's just forcing yourself to do the things you need to do versus the things you want to do.
Here, Anirudh, I think, did you like foregoing your sleep,
I mean, I looked
undergoing
at it
that
as
stress, etc.?
I looked at it as that in that moment I need to do it, and then once I'm done, I move on and I continue having fun with
So,
it.
generally, what I tell students is visualize that after effect of not studying, of not completing your homework. Is it what that you want? Either pulled up by your teacher for not completing your assignment, getting low marks, or sitting up late in the night and studying because your exams are next day. So this visualize, I won't say that it will completely help you, but to a certain extent it is definitely going to act upon you. Act as a reminder saying, okay, you have to sit and study or complete your work. So that is something that every student has to start developing or cultivate this into their.
That's very true. I would say I'm the wrong example to even ask this question because as soon as I realized at some point none of this matters, uh, it then became very easy to just not do work that I thought was not needed. So I remember, I think the only time I felt the stress you're talking about is during the 10th board exams. Because at that point it's like you have to, this is your life changing moment, and if you don't do well in these exams, then your whole life is over. And since you don't know any better, it's an immediate thought that okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. So as you said, yes, the thinking of the afterthought of the result will definitely help. Are there any specific techniques that students, adults, anybody alike can use to build these habits to have an effective time management strategy?
One is, yes, Arushi, please.
You can go ahead, Nethra.
Go ahead, anybody start it off.
You wanna?
It's okay.
Though, if you want to, you can start.
Okay. First, most important thing, one has to have a schedule or a routine set. It should not be haywire. I mean, one day I get up at 10 o'clock, one day I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So once that is set, I think somewhere your mind is also set to do certain, okay, after this follows. My eating pattern will also fall in place. Your biological system is in place. So then your mind works a little better than when it is haywire.
Absolutely.
Yes, so that is the first thing I would say. And also, plan your day. First thing in the morning, I won't say, okay, some people find it very kiddish to sit down, write timetable, put one, whatever, 4 into 10 block. Don't do that. At least in your mind, have the list of things that you want to finish in by the end of the day. As in when you finish, you start ticking off. I can give you my example, my own example. We were under pressure where we had to develop some, say, thousands of questions across chapters or topics and in short duration. And I tried making a timetable. That was very confusing, but more stressing for me. So what I started doing is started making the number of chapters. So say it was 87 chapters. Under 87, under first chapter maybe I had 50 questions. Under second chapter I had 70 questions. So as and when I finished, I started cutting it off or ticking it off. So that gave me a lot of confidence, motivated me to complete more. That sense of satisfaction was really great. I liked that feeling. Therefore, what happened, it motivated me to finish things faster. And also I could plan. Okay, I got an idea how many questions I'm able to complete in a day. So the next day I know I can't go to bed without completing these many questions. So I started using this as an example during my training sessions or counseling sessions with students. Make a list of the chapters that you have to study. As in when you finish, tick it off. Or maybe chapter name and revision. If you have finished both, excellent. Okay, then that will boost your self-esteem and it will motivate you to do better.
True. Can we also say that I think for the most part we don't emphasize the good feel factor of when you have finished. I think especially when we look at Indian culture specifically, it becomes this thing of like, yeah, you had to do it, so this is just part of your life. It's not an achievement, it's no great shakes, so you have to keep doing this. This is life, get used to it. Versus understanding that, look, when you have done this, this should be your success for the day. I think a lot of times we get stuck on the overall success. If we take, say, exams for example, that if I manage my time, the only time it's considered a success is once I get the very good marks. But till the time that I actually maintained the routine, as you said, so I got up every day at the same time, I studied at the same time, I ate at the same time, those are not being considered these good feel factors of that, yes, I did it. It's more like, yeah, you're supposed to do that, very good, you did it, keep doing it. So would that also be another technique, is from a self-awareness aspect, as you just said, that you should give yourself that pat on the back for maintaining your routine? Would that make a difference?
Yes, definitely it does make a lot of difference, especially having that consistency. Most of the students, they fail in terms of consistency. They make a timetable, they make a to-do list. What happens is at the end of the day, they are not able to maintain the consistency. 2 days I woke up, okay, third day, I feel that anyway it's me, I mean, whatever the consequences, it's okay, I'll just push it.
And there are always random things that also
Exactly.
come into play, like suddenly now you have a puja at home or some relative showed up at home. So now the time spent to study was spent either helping out in the house or having to do something else. And I think that just then ruins the consistency, as you said. So is there a way to then come back to this or bring yourself back into it? Because at least I've noticed, and more on the sports side than I'm assuming will also be in our regular lives. But it's like once you've had an injury and you have to come back to your sport and rebuild yourself is always the hardest, because you're now redoing everything that you've lost. So is that what happens here as well, is that as soon as the consistency goes, there is just no desire to come back to it because you're like, I did it and it didn't work?
Sometimes it does happen. So it's better you start a little slowly. Don't do it immediately. Have a small target. Don't have to have a long target to say, okay, if I do this, I'll do this later. Start slowly. A slow process leads to a better techniques and better targets. Not all techniques fit in. First of all, we are not that perfect that, oh, I can manage my time perfectly. No one's perfect. Like you said, there are unforeseen circumstances and all. So it's better you start slowly. It might take a day or two to start again, but it's okay. Start slowly. Give yourself reward for completing, say, small chapter, answering the math sum which you found it difficult. So start slowly. Then you will be motivated yourself to start again following the practices.
So, as I even mentioned, with this idea of not being given the whatever success or the kudos for what you've done, uh, now specifically looking at students or children and parents, now how do we manage that dynamic? Because you as a student may have had this plan of this is how I'm going to have my timetable or this is how I'm going to manage my time, and parents have a completely different plan for you. So it's like if in my mind I said that okay, I'm going to spend the next 3 hours studying, but my parents are like, no, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. you need to study since it's exam time. How do we now find that balance between the two? Because of course parents are not ill intentioned with their plans for their child, but I'm assuming, I mean, even as all of us when we were children, when parents told us to do something, we rebelled. So how is it that parents can also add to this versus subtract from this when it comes to having an effective time management system? Because as you just said, unforeseen circumstances, I think parents play the biggest role in your unforeseen circumstances when it comes to your plans. So where is the balance between where parents also need to either communicate or figure out with their children as to how to create the most effective time management system for everybody?
I would say Anirudh, parents should first of all realize no two individuals are same.
Correct.
So they should sit together and identify what their goal is at the end of the day. After a certain age, I know parents should understand that the kids are more mature enough to deal the situation and let them face the consequences. See, when I was a child, I remember my parents telling, okay, it's your study time, please study. And I used to never study.
Correct.
Trust me, never study. End minute, I used to study, crib, cry, sleep, don't sleep the whole day. And it leads to more stress. Then you realize the consequences. You'll fail twice, you'll realize. So I think parents should realize that no individual is same. Give them time, give them space. They can also sit together and make a timetable to see. In this way, it gives them independence also, and it also helps them, and they can reward them later on.
True.
So that's how parents can motivate the child to sit and study. If they keep nagging, keep micromanaging, it leads to a lot of fights, and it leads to unhealthy environment.
Of course.
So it's better give your child a space, sit with them, make a timetable, and if they don't listen, get back to them once or twice. Don't nag them, saying do this, do this. So that's a healthy way that it will be balance between the parents as well as the child.
True.
To add to what Arushi has spoken and to the question that you brought up, this unrealistic study time, maybe 12 to 4, parents want children to sit and study. As you said, their parents do not have any ill intention behind it. They only want them to get into that pattern. So, for this, firstly, it will depend on the age at which the child is. Definitely, the child cannot sit for that long if the child is in 5th grade or 6th grade. Definitely high school, yes, acceptable. But at a stretch, no, definitely no. Even adults cannot sit for even 1 hour,
Yeah.
I suppose. So, one is, as parents, we have to, now people want justifications, children, yes. So, tell them why you have this expectation or why you are making this timetable. Probably they will understand. And then at a stretch, not required. Slowly we can have, see, when you study for short time, your break should also be shorter. 30 minutes, then take 5 minutes break in between. If you're studying for 1 hour at a stretch, take 10 minutes break. And generally what we tell students, do not do anything more interesting during this break time. Going to your gadgets and watching TV, talking to your friends, chatting, you will never come back to your studies.
Correct.
Therefore, do something like getting up from that place, your study place, coming out, talking to the family members, going out for a cool breeze, just one short walk in your corridor, Drink some water. If you're hungry, eat something. Eat something healthy, not anything junk. Get back to your studies. And that break, you have to be disciplined. 10 minutes is a 10-minute break. The longer you study, you can give another 15 minutes. If you're studying for 1.5 hours, then 15-minute break, absolutely fine. And always, I mean, again, depends on the individual. I would say your goal has to be your aim has to be your goal and not the time. Suppose I assume or I fix 3 hours for this chapter and I'm not able to complete, then it's okay extending. You should not say, okay, my 3 hours is over and get up from the place. Finish that chapter even if you are exceeding 3 hours. Complete the chapter and then probably you can do what you want.
True. For me, I think what you said, just to summarize it in that aspect, the quality of the time spent versus the actual time spent matters more.
True.
Because when it comes to studying, I remember, at least with me, I used to spend like maybe 3 or 4 hours in front of my books, but maybe study for 1 hour at best. The rest of the time was just you're daydreaming for the lack of anything else to do. Because during boards, everything is taken away from you, so you don't have access, but you still just have no intention. So, team, are there any tidbits, pearls of wisdom from your own experiences, having spoken to students, spoken to parents, just anything that has been very unique to your experience being in the industry that could add extra value towards understanding how to effectively manage your time?
Yes. One thing, post an event, post a successful event or a failure, I would say analyze the situation. See what went right, what went wrong. So that will give us an idea of what mistakes we should avoid for the next task or for the next goal. And then also we know how we need to organize or plan our events or tasks. So that will help to a great extent.
I have people telling, I don't know if you'll have heard about Eisenhower matrix. If you'll have heard,
No.
do that. We have taught teachers as well as students. It's a quadrant where you divide 4 quadrants: do, delegate, discard, and eliminate. So what you do is, if it's important, do it immediately. If
So,
it's
what were the four again?
do, plan,
Plan,
delegate, and
delegate,
eliminate.
eliminate. Okay,
Do
got
is
it.
something that is important, that needs a important attention, and it has to be done. So if you have an exam, do it immediately. Don't postpone your studies, do it immediately. Plan is something, if you have an exam 2 weeks later, start preparing for it. Delegate, if something can be delegated to someone, you can give it over to it. Eliminate is your social media. We all love spending time on our social
course.
media. Plan your time accordingly. This is what we have told our students and teachers as well, whoever we train, and we've got good review for it. So this is one tip which we can tell them to do it.
Very nice.
And from my experience with self and what I've seen in students as well, I think write it down. Most of the time, what we do is we have it in our head. We know that, okay, I need to study these chapters, I need to do this. The list is there in the head. But until and unless it becomes a concrete thing on paper, it becomes a little difficult for you to follow it. Once it is on the paper, it's not that you will have to make a big timetable. Yes, Eisenhower matrix definitely helps. But having that list, even when you do the Eisenhower matrix, when you write down things and when you tick it off, that definitely gives you a good sense of satisfaction, and it also motivates you to be disciplined henceforth. So that is one thing. Just do not keep it in your head. Make at least a to-do list early in the morning. Or one more thing, what most students tend to do is they do the rounding of time, round of the time.
Correct.
So like every day 6:30, I'm going to sit, I'm going to open my book. Oh, it's 6:40, 6:45. No, I'll wait till 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, every Monday I'll start. Oh, today it's already Tuesday. I missed Monday. No, I'll start from Wednesday. I'll start from Saturday. So do not round off in terms of the time or the day. Whenever you feel like, yes, I want to study now, even if you've exceeded you've passed your those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it really doesn't matter. Sit and start doing your work, be it studies or anything that you would want to practice. You could go ahead. So making a list definitely helps, a concrete list.
I always start with the difficult things. Don't start with the easy, because I know we have the habit of saying, oh, it's too difficult, I can't do it, and we procrastinate, and that's why we waste our time. That's when we start watching TV and also always start with the difficult things. because it helps you. Once you complete your difficult task, you're less stressed and you can be free, relax, and do the easier stuff later on and reward yourself for whatever you do.
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much, team.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all your insights. A lot to learn. I will definitely do plan, delegate, and eliminate myself. I think that will help a lot. So, this was the second episode of Unlock Your Dreams. Stay tuned for many, many more, and we hope to see you soon.